Have you ever felt like your life was moving in the right direction, yet going nowhere? You studied hard, graduated, found a stable job, saved every penny, stayed away from debt, lived responsibly, and never bothered anyone. On paper, it all looks right, even admirable. But at the end of the day, your bank account is empty, your dreams feel distant, and you're exhausted. I used to live like that. And maybe you're in that situation right now. We often believe that if we follow the path chosen by the crowd, we'll surely arrive at success. But have you ever asked yourself, what if everything society calls right doesn't actually lead to happiness or success? That very question changed my life. It led me to a concept that seems simple but is incredibly powerful: reverse thinking. It's not about rebellion, nor recklessness. It's about daring to pause, daring to look closer, and asking one question: what if the opposite were true? In this video, I'll share with you 10 reverse thinking principles, perspectives that have helped countless ordinary people completely flip their destinies. From a delivery driver saving small tips, to a girl with a speech disorder who dared to share on TikTok, to entrepreneurs without degrees, they all had one thing in common: the courage to think differently and act differently. And if you've ever felt stuck in a life that's right but still poor, or sighed watching others who dared to go against the crowd live more freely than you, then this video is for you. Welcome to Different Thinking Channel, where I share perspectives that go against the crowd, so you can discover your own unique path. If you find this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to Different Thinking today. And as a thank you, I prepared a special gift for you: a free ebook, The Rich Always Go Against the Crowd. You can download it right now in the description or the pinned comment below. Inside, you'll find distilled knowledge that can help you start making changes tonight. Don't miss this chance, because sometimes, just one small habit can create an entirely different future for you. There's an invisible trap that many people are stuck in. I call it the trap of being right. Have you noticed that sometimes the most disciplined, rule-following people are also the most exhausted? They don't party, they avoid debt, they aren't lazy, they do everything society praises as good. And yet, in the end, all they have is a life that's just okay. I have a friend named Min. Min is the kind of person everyone praises: hardworking, polite, responsible. He graduated with decent grades, landed a job at an international company, worked from 8 to 6, never complained about overtime. Each month, after paying rent and sending money to his mom, he saved a little for emergencies. Everyone believed Min was on the path to success. But 3 years later, Min was still living in the same rented room, still riding the same old motorbike, his bank account barely moving from month to month. He was still hardworking, still right, but his life hadn't really moved forward. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you, or someone you know, are living in the same loop. Society teaches us: study hard, get a stable job, save money, avoid risks, and one day you'll be happy. Sounds reasonable, right? But reality tells a different story. Out there, plenty of people don't follow these rules, yet they live freely and comfortably. Meanwhile, the most proper people are stuck in the middle, not poor enough to take risks, not rich enough to break free. The danger of this trap is that it isn't wrong. When you're doing something wrong, at least you realize you should stop. But when everything looks right, you have no reason to question it. You keep believing that if you just push a little harder, things will change. But the truth is, you might just be rowing endlessly toward a desert. This is what I call endless correctness. It doesn't make you fail, but it traps you in mediocrity. So the real question is, are you living right, but not living fully? Are you following all the rules, yet not moving forward? If so, maybe it's time you considered a different approach. When people hear reverse thinking, many immediately picture rebellion, breaking rules, going against everything. But that's not what it is. Reverse thinking doesn't mean you have to do the exact opposite of everyone else. It's much simpler. It's about daring to pause, daring to look closer, and asking yourself, what if I tried a different way? I once knew a guy in school who was considered hopeless. His grades were terrible, and everyone assumed he'd end up in low-wage jobs forever. Yet, he became the owner of a popular online seafood chain. He didn't follow the traditional academic route. Instead, he tapped into a different strength: understanding the market and using social media to sell. That story taught me something. Reverse thinking isn't about rejecting what exists. It's about asking different questions. While the crowd was asking, "How can I get better grades?" he asked, "Do I really need good grades to succeed?" That one different question opened a completely new door. It's like being at a buffet. Most people crowd around the seafood counter, thinking that's where the value is. But some quietly head to another corner, where delicious dishes are waiting with no line at all. They're not fighting the crowd. They're simply asking, "Is there another way to enjoy this fully?" That's what reverse thinking is. It doesn't require you to argue with the majority. It only asks that you dare to question, "What if I tried something different?" A small question, but sometimes it's enough to open up a big path. We're often taught that the more you work, the more you'll have, but reality isn't that simple. Some people grind day and night, yet their results barely change. Meanwhile, others do less but create far greater value. The secret lies here. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. I remember a friend named Dao who sold cosmetics online. At first, she tried to sell everything: lipsticks, creams, perfumes, all kinds of products. The more she sold, the more exhausted she became, and her income barely grew. Then Dao stopped and asked herself, "Who really needs me the most?" That's when she realized, new moms struggling with confidence because of their skin and body changes. From that point on, she focused entirely on this group, creating content around their struggles and solutions tailored for them. The result? In just 1 year, her revenue quadrupled. Why? Because instead of spreading herself thin, she went deep. She touched the pain points, met the real needs. It's like bamboo. For the first 5 years, it quietly grows roots underground, almost invisible to the eye. But in the 6th year, it can shoot up 100 feet in just a few months. Success works the same way. Sometimes you don't need to do more things. You just need to do the right thing. But do it deeply enough. So ask yourself, are you spreading your time across too many things? Or are you truly investing in one that matters? Because in the end, life doesn't reward the one who does the most. It rewards the one who does it right. Since childhood, we were taught to save. And yes, saving protects you from short-term trouble. But if all you ever do is save, you'll stay stuck in the same loop. Work, spend, stash away pennies. Without ever breaking free. Saving money keeps you safe. But it doesn't make you wealthy. I remember a guy named Tuan, a regular delivery driver. Every day, he collected small tips and leftover cash. But instead of just putting it in a piggy bank, Tuan started learning about index funds and long-term investing. He contributed monthly, consistently. After a year, his returns were over 20 million Vietnamese dongs, not a fortune to some. But for a delivery driver, it was life-changing. Tuan even started a TikTok channel to share his journey. To his surprise, tens of thousands followed him, because they saw themselves in his story. And suddenly, not just money, but opportunities and relationships started flowing his way. Here's the key difference. Saving only keeps money with you, while asset building turns money into seeds that grow on their own. Savers often shrink back, afraid of losing. Asset builders learn to allocate, to separate expenses from assets, and most importantly, to invest in their own knowledge. So instead of asking, "How can I save more?" try asking, "How can I turn every dollar I have into a seed?" Because in the end, no one ever became wealthy by hoarding. They became wealthy by planting. Here's an interesting paradox. When the market is booming, everyone rushes to buy. When the market panics, everyone runs away. Yet it's in those moments of fear that the biggest opportunities appear. This is a law that people with reverse thinking always understand. I remember an acquaintance, Uncle Ben, who lived in the suburbs. During 2011 to 2013, when the real estate market was nearly frozen, everyone was desperate to sell and recover whatever they could. But he did the opposite. He held onto his cash, waited patiently, and bought a large plot of land for just 1/3 of its previous price. 3 years later, the market recovered. That piece of land was worth 6 times more. While many regretted selling too early, Uncle Ben remained calm, because he didn't follow emotions, he followed data and patterns. This is the essence of reverse thinking. When the crowd is afraid, you stay rational. When others get swept away by emotion, you look at long-term patterns. It's not easy, because human instinct craves safety. But if you only follow the crowd, you'll only get average results. So next time chaos strikes, instead of asking, "How do I get out quickly?" try asking, "In this fear, what opportunities are others missing?" Sometimes, staying calm just a little longer allows you to see the doors others are too afraid to touch. Many people believe that quitting a job and opening a business makes them a boss. But in reality, many small business owners are more exhausted than their employees. Why? Because they're not truly in control. They've just traded working for someone else for working for their own job. I knew a man named Hoy who opened a small coffee shop. At first, he did everything, making drinks, cleaning, ordering supplies, even closing the books at night. His shop was crowded, but Hoy was constantly sleep deprived, afraid to take even one day off in case revenue dropped. One day, he realized, if this continued, he wasn't a boss, he was just a premium slave to his own cafe. So he changed. He documented processes, hired staff, and trained them with clear standards. Within a year, Hoy opened a second branch, then a third. Now, the cafes ran smoothly even when he wasn't there. That's the difference between owning a job and owning a system. A job needs you present, a system runs on its own. Only when you have a system can you truly have freedom. So ask yourself, are you pouring energy into holding up a job? Or are you building a system that can outlive you? Because true wealth isn't the job you do, it's the system you leave behind. One of the most common mistakes entrepreneurs make is believing they must do more and sell more in order to grow. But in reality, the more you spread yourself thin, the more lost you become, and the easier it is for bigger competitors to swallow you whole. I recall the story of Tung, who ran a simple iced tea stand, while others tried to expand by offering every type of drink to please customers. Tung chose a different path. He didn't expand, he positioned deeply, turning iced tea into a relaxation experience. A nostalgic meeting spot tied to student life. Instead of chasing variety, he focused on brand storytelling. Iced tea, the drink of memories and friendship. Customers didn't just come for the drink. They came to relive old feelings. And because of that, his small stand became a unique destination that few could replace. That's the power of deep positioning. When you choose a specific audience and a clear message, you etch yourself into their memory. Expansion often makes you blurry, but deep positioning makes you unforgettable. So instead of asking, "What else can I expand into?" try asking, "What can I go deep in, so customers will never forget me?" Because sometimes, success isn't about how many products you sell, it's about how much space you own in your customer's mind. When choosing a career, many people pick the easy path, stable jobs, low risk, not too challenging. But here's the problem. Easy jobs usually pay just enough to keep you afloat. I know a man named Lam, a barber. At first, he worked in a small shop, cutting hair for over 10 hours a day, earning unstable income. But instead of settling, he built his own brand, developed his unique style, and opened his own salon. Then, he went further, training apprentices and replicating his craft into a system. As a result, his income no longer depended on the hours he spent cutting hair. His brand, his system, and his students became leverage, allowing him to expand his value without doubling his effort. This is the key difference. Easy jobs equals you work. You get paid, you stop. The money stops. Leverage careers equals the more you work, the more your influence and value expand, even when you're not physically present. So instead of choosing a job just because it's safe or easy, ask yourself, does this career create leverage for my future? Does it allow me to escape trading time for money? If the answer is no, maybe it's time to look for a different path. There's one simple question that has led countless people to success. What if the opposite were true? This is the key to reverse thinking. It frees us from old patterns and unquestioned beliefs that everyone else accepts as obvious. Do you remember Richard Branson? Before founding Virgin Atlantic, one of his flights was canceled. Most people would have waited or complained. But Branson asked, "What if I don't wait?" So he chartered a small plane, split the seats among stranded passengers, and sold tickets on the spot. From a setback, he created a business opportunity and later, an entire airline. What made the difference wasn't extraordinary genius. It was simply daring to ask a different question. What if the opposite were true? Allows us to look at familiar problems through a new lens. Where others see a wall, you might see a door. Think about it. How many times have you been stuck just because you followed old patterns? You think, I need to work harder. But what if the opposite is true? Maybe you need to work less, but smarter. You think, I must play it safe. But what if the opposite is true? Maybe calculated risks are what bring breakthroughs. So next time you face a dead end, ask yourself, what if the opposite were true? That one question might be all it takes to reveal a path you never noticed before. And there we have it, 10 principles of reverse thinking. From recognizing the trap of being too right, to learning how to do less but hit the mark. Building assets instead of just saving. Staying calm when the market panics. Creating systems. Building authentic personal brands. Positioning deeply. Choosing leverage over ease. And finally, asking the magical question, what if the opposite were true? All of these led to one simple truth. Success doesn't always come from following the crowd. Sometimes, just daring to see things from another angle opens up an entirely new path. Remember, you don't need perfection to begin. All you need is the courage to be different. Each principle of reverse thinking is like a brick, and when you put them together, you build a future that's freer, wealthier, and truer to who you are. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to Different Thinking today. And as a thank you, I prepared a special gift for you. A free ebook, The Rich Always Go Against the Crowd. You can download it right now in the description or pinned comment below. And to watch the full playlist, just click the link in the description. Don't miss it, because one small shift in thinking today could create an entirely different life for you tomorrow.